I will start by saying that I'm very humbled to speak in front of this audience today. And in fact, I came with a completely different presentation in mind. And as I was sort of tuned in to the discourse, taking on from the first speaker through the panelists and up until the last point, I thought about changing my presentation and trying to address some words, I think, that have been sort of tagged on to the sub-industry or category within the optical industry that I represent. And some of these words, I think, just to describe them, could be concern, competition, agents of change, and so on and so forth. And so what I want to try to do, with your permission today, is try to expose a little bit the face of change, and by introducing EyeBuyDirect and taking you through the psychology of change and the psychology of evolution that EyeBuyDirect has gone to in order to reach the point that we are today. And I think this is high time to do so, since we are celebrating our fifth anniversary this month. So I think that it's a point to say that when we started the company about 5 years ago, it wasn't trivial that selling eyeglasses online would be an easy thing to do. There is a conception that selling eyeglasses or anything else online is very simple because it involves drop shipping. You don't have to negotiate contracts and lease space and have a lot of facilities and infrastructure that have to do with traditional retail. You couple in that economies of scale and reducing marginal costs, etc. But 2 years into developing EyeBuyDirect, I discovered, and my team and I discovered, that it wasn't trivial at all. And in fact, we were on the verge of shutting down the business. Because unlike other products, as we all know in this room, the optical product, particularly the frames, with the prescription involved in the lens, is a high involvement, highly complex product. And so we found that the biggest challenge that we had was not getting the prescriptions. Patients, customers do have their prescriptions, with the exception of the PD, which are now, there's some technological ways that we've overcome that challenge too. But primarily, our greatest challenge was what we call at EyeBuyDirect the product matching challenge. So essentially, showing the right customer, the right frames, at the right price. And we found that as a static website that didn't involve any elements of personalization and a technology that built a personal profile, we had a very difficult time to match the right product to the right person. And as a result of that, for the first 2 years, we were struggling and we had very, very limited growth. And so what we did was, we did what I think was quite a natural thing to do. We went out to the mavens, we went down to the optical stores where we're based, and we just sat there for hours and hours, and we interviewed opticians and optical dispensers, and we tried to understand the dynamics that are involved in dispensing or selecting a frame to a particular customer. And we came up to three critical data points that essentially encapsulated what we needed to know in order to select or recommend the right product to the right customers. These are namely visual. So clearly, when a customer walks into the store, the first appearance, the frame he has on, the style of clothing that he wears is a very important indicator as to what new frame he might be interested in buying. So creating an environment or an application that encouraged the customers to upload a picture of their face. We thought that if we had the picture of their face, it would be the third of a step towards really nailing down the product matching challenge. The third is inferred. So there's a whole realm of technologies and tools that we are currently using in order to understand what are the motivations and the interests of the particular visitor. These tools are the Google Analytics tools, some more complicated tools like things that we play with cookies and different tracking analytics, and the upstream source. So if he came from Google or it came from Yahoo, what keywords was he looking for particularly when he landed on the site? And then thirdly is, again, the most important part is a contextual activity. The contextual activity is what we can communicate with the customer directly, whether it's via email, whether different correspondences, different blog posts, or product recommendation that he posts specifically on the products. So the first one was relatively easy to achieve. We developed an in-house application which we call the iTry. The iTry is quite a common feature today on the front end of it, and it allows customers to upload a picture and then to try on any of our 1,000 frames that we have on the site. This is, on the front end, you'll find many applications such as these on the web today, and some of you may have it. Some of the solutions that the buying groups and the sort of the modular offers have such applications. What I suppose they do not have is a very, very complex back end on the iTry, which is built with a third-party provider, which is essentially a face recognition technology. The face recognition technology allows us almost instantly to identify critical parameters on this particular customer. And this includes gender, it includes in certain, to 95%, the age group. So whether we'd be offering bifocal or progressive, or something that is a bit more casual if it was of a different group age. And this gave us 30% of what we needed to know in order to meet the product matching challenge. Contextual is the single most important and most effective step-changing element that we introduced into our website. This is essentially taking all the benefits of the social networking and the need of people to express themselves on the website, and at the same time allowing us to extract valuable information. So because we cannot communicate directly with our customers, we allowed our customers to communicate among themselves. And we created what is today, as far as I know, the only social network which is targeted and visited by and frequented by vision correction consumers in a commercial application. So what you see here is very straightforward. Once the iTry has been tested, the picture has been uploaded, customers have a choice of publishing their picture on the wall frame. The wall frame today has tens of thousands of images with different visitors, and they engage in a public discussion board, which is not moderated. They have different ways of interacting. They could rate different frames. They can comment on how particular frames look on a particular person, if they like it, if they dislike it. This is a Facebook talk. And more so all these things are what we call micro actions. This is EyeBuyDirect language for collectible data. So if you tag something, if you comment on something, if you visited something, it enables us to collect this information and then translate that into a profile which is essentially actionable. On top of it, we have something called the profile page, which some of you might be familiar from another company, Face something. I think they copied it off us. So this is a private profile which gives a stage for visitors to get feedback from the community. Because there isn't a dispensing optician, because there aren't any friends around, they can tell you, oh, it looks well, it doesn't look well, and so on and so forth. But there are thousands of other EyeBuyDirect users who will be generous and will comment on the frame, on the style, on the suitability on it, on the materials, on the experience that they've had with it. All of it basically put together a very transparent, a very confident sentiment on the site. It increases things that are important to us, like reducing the bounce rate and increasing the time on site, things that are important for search engine evaluations. But first and foremost, it really allows customers to get an indication of what is the right frame for them, and therefore helps them with conversion. So now I'm going to take you to something which is pretty deep engine room for EyeBuyDirect, and I'm going to show you a screenshot of our reporting system. This reporting system gathers all the micro actions that every IP address has taken on the site. This includes tagging, visiting, commenting, frames that he's sorted through, and we profile it. And with a very simple algorithm that we've developed, we now know on probably 80% accuracy which are the 20 most suitable frames for him. And we can go into resolution of materials if you'd be interested in titanium or more flex lights or what type of prescription and the index and so on. And again, it gives us a much better understanding of what it takes to convert a visitor into a customer. We use this profile element and we use the information that we gather in a non-direct way in order to apply something that we call at EyeBuyDirect e-pressure. E-pressure is what a customer feels when he goes onto a site and he sees pictures either of his friends from Facebook or from the social network, or people who have similar features to himself who have bought a frame, who have tried it on. The e-pressure, as in social pressure, is a major contributor to enhanced conversion. It's a little bit like the comment that the previous speaker said with net promoter. Thank you. So this is another element which I could talk at length about, and these are more personal feelings. Everyone's talking about social media today and social engagement and so on. There's a lot of noise about it. What we try to do is to be a signal, not a noise. And we want to make sure that we do not dilute our brand by trying to spread ourselves on all the different social networks and on Twitter and buzz around with all these different things. We use the profile and the information that we gather in order to give very specific and a very high-quality messaging to the right groups of people. So this is my presentation. I would like just in conclusion to say that we see ourselves as an integral part of the optical industry. We are not outsiders. We're very well versed in surfacing technologies, of freeform, and the different technologies that are involved with Trivex and other optical innovations that are going on. This is not an e-commerce company that happened to choose optics. And I want to be very clear about it. We are an optical company with our own surfacing and lab capabilities and supply chain that has chosen to use the online channel as our main distribution channel because we feel that this will make prescription eyeglasses more widely available and more widely affordable to, let's say, the 300 million Americans between Fifth Avenue and Rodeo Drive. Thank you very much.